Hello, hello! It is I, the Theosaurus Rex. I am actually on my way home from working at serving at a Christian conference, which discernment bloggers have decided in their infinite wisdom is an evil satanic cult. It is not. It is a intra-denominational, or interdenominational, I guess would be a better term. Interdenominational. Oh! That's where I got lost, and okay. I now know where I am. Okay, that works. And so I'm going a roundabout way to try to get to where I thought I would. This is very intriguing. Okay, sweet. Anyway, I now know where I am, and I feel better about my life. Now I know even more where I am, because, okay. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about some things. We had a song that we played, and apparently it has created quite the controversy. Let me read to you the lyrics. You can look it up. It's by Asbury. It's called Reckless Love. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. It chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. When I was your foe, your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so good. Then the chorus, over the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God chases me down till I'm found, leaves the 99. Then it says, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. So, this has created quite a stir amongst, I'll have a link to if there's a video for it, or at the very least the lyrics, so you can check them out for yourself. Anyway, down below. This has created quite a stir, because in the chorus it says, oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And even when they did this song at the conference thing I went to, the guy who's leading worship was like, well, I'm going to do this song, but I just want to state for the record that nothing God does is reckless. It's not, he is very calculated, and he is very generous in what he does, but he's not reckless, because reckless means that he doesn't really care about what he's doing. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. So the definition of reckless is a person or their actions without thinking and caring about the consequences of the action. Okay, so I wanted to get into something. So that led to a conversation with some of the people there after, during some downtime, talking about, well, is this reckless? What is it? So I wanted to just clarify a couple things, settle the debate, and then it's probably leading to something else unrelated to that. So, because I think that this gets into a bigger topic. Oh, okay, I was right. This is where I'm at. And that has to do with our inability to look at things from other people's point of view, and especially within the Calvinistic thing, within the discernment people thing, it's not being charitable in the way that we look at arguments and things like that. So, first off, just the reckless thing, could he have used a better term? Maybe. What do I think that Corey meant with that? I think he was looking at it from our point of view. And if we look at that in the situation, if you as a human being were to love someone and sacrifice for them and give things that you knew they were going to squander and waste, what would an onlooker, kind of see that as? Oh my goodness, you're being reckless with your money. You're being reckless with your love. You're being reckless with whatever. The fact that you would go you would go and you would give that person who you know is going to cheat on you, know is going to waste the money, whatever the case is. That's very reckless. If you've got a shepherd that has 99 sheep and they go on a day's journey out to go and try to look for the one sheep and leaves the 99, well, that could be considered reckless as well. Because, well, that one sheep, yes, you go out and find it, but what happens? Well, now another sheep herder's gone in, stolen all your sheep. Wolves went and attacked and ate up a bunch of sheep. You know, my concern would be that I would go out, find the one that I'm missing, and then in the process, I would come back after everything, and I would have less sheep than I started off with. So better just write off the one sheep and continue about it and fix the hole in my fence or whatever allowed that sheep to escape. You know, prevent that from happening. Or if I went looking for it, I'd always keep the other 99 in my view, have someone else check it, etc. Anyway, and that story comes from a parable that Jesus told about how he was the good shepherd, that he would leave the 99 sheep to go and fetch after the one. So the terminology that's used with reckless, it makes sense within the context, and it makes sense if you give it a charitable look. You know, in no way, does it say that God in and of himself is reckless. It doesn't argue that that's the way that he acts reckless. It's talking about the love, and the love can seem to be reckless. Why would you love someone that you know is going to hurt you, cheat on you, whatever the case is? It doesn't. It doesn't make sense that someone would do that. But that's the whole beauty of the idea and concept of the Christian deity, is that it doesn't make sense to us humans, but it makes sense within the character and the person of God, right? So, I just think that it's a really, for lack of a better term, a dumb argument against that song. And to me, I think it really stems because everyone I've seen argue it or whatever tends to be Calvinist. If you're not familiar with Calvinism, it is very long story short, because it is a well-developed theory over a long time, all that kind of stuff. It argues that God is fully sovereign over everything, including one's salvation, and that we don't choose and we don't have any free will when it comes to our salvation, because humans are totally depraved and cannot make a good decision, and becoming a Christian would be a good decision. And if we can deny Jesus, then that takes away, or Jesus forgive, then that takes away from his sovereignty, because that means he doesn't have control over it, right? And they use many scriptures to kind of back up their idea. The fact that in Romans talks about people being predestined, all this kind of stuff. Okay, so what does that have to do with it? So what does that have to do with everything? I will tell you in a second. I think the questions and the problems they have is less to do about the reckless part and more to do with the fact that this is clearly not a Calvinistic song, right? So you talk about the verse, before I spoke where you were singing over me, you've been so good to me. Okay, that's fine. Calvinists wouldn't have an issue with that. But nor should they have an issue with I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, so you give yourself away. I think they have a problem with the fact that he's arguing that Jesus gives himself away, that Jesus' love fought for the individual, and then there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up coming after me, there's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down coming after me. Because the essence of the song leaves the choice and the overall thing to the individual. And I think that's the problem with that they have, and less about the reckless aspect of it, because like most things, you can easily explain, if you took a charitable view, of what they were saying. When I say charitable, I mean giving them the benefit of the doubt. If you were to do that, you can easily explain away the reckless thing, like I believe I did. It doesn't. Anyway, that's my problem with discernment people too. That's a whole nother issue. Anyway, so the thing is, because in my experience, what happens with Calvinism and the Calvinist thinkers is that they have to protect their fragile and failed theory, which I do believe it is failed and fragile, because it doesn't have the scriptural backing that a lot of the other things have, right? And so here's why. So I believe that God has given everyone who is alive has the choice whether or not to accept what Christ did on the cross for them, right? Whereas the Calvinist believes that only certain people are, God only allows certain people to accept the gift. Okay? So when Jesus died on the cross, he didn't die on the cross. Okay, let me try to, I gotta, being charitable. He died on the cross for everyone, but only people that God chooses to be able to accept that gift will be able to accept the gift. Okay, so while that seems confusing, convoluted, etc., it is. But that's a general representation of what the Calvinist believes. Oops. Thank you. Whereas I believe a very much more simpler concept, which is when Jesus died, he took upon the sin of the world. And then because of that, everyone has the option of becoming a Christian, right? All you have to do is believe in your heart that, confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, believe in your heart that he was raised from the dead, and you shall be saved. There's no stipulations, there's no additional things. Everyone has the opportunity. Not everyone will take it up, because there are some people who just, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to become Christians. Doesn't matter what facts and figures, what logic, what scientific facts that God may exist or whatever, they don't want to believe in the Christian God, and they're not going to. Fine, they don't have to. Now the Calvinists would argue, well, that's because God didn't choose them to do this, and that they shouldn't have to do, and that's just a further rebellion against God by not wanting to become Christians, because God doesn't give them the option to, because the Holy Spirit didn't enable them to. That's crap. So based on the things in the Bible, 2 Peter 3:9, God is not willing that anyone should perish, but that all receive eternal life. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. There's just this Romans 8. Anyway. So, my idea is that the reckless is less about the idea of it being reckless and more about the fact that it chips away at the idea of a Calvinistic worldview, because they have to. Because if you begin to question the Calvinistic worldview, then you have issues. Anyway, thank you very much for checking it out, and I, your favorite little dinosaur, will talk to you guys later on, as opposed to extending this and then going nothing. Anyway, thank you very much. You can check me out at Saint St. Theosaurus Rex on Twitter, or you can check me out on Facebook, which would be facebook.com/St. Theosaurus Rex. I might just be Theosaurus Rex on there. I don't know. I'll find out, and I'll post the right link when I do this. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, y'all. Bye-bye.